Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara Designs and today I have a really fun card to share with you. This is a part of a hop, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the card first and then we'll jump into more hop details. So I used the Holtz layered plaid dies. I realized that I'd had these in my stash since he released them and hadn't used them yet. So I felt like this was a really great opportunity to do that. So I cut the one layer, the kind of base layer, out of some black cardstock, and then I'm going to cut the two top layers out of some hammermill cardstock. And you saw me change out my magic mat for the chrome base plate just because these are fairly detailed and I was worried that it wouldn't cut through. And I'm sorry you guys end up seeing my camera a little bit. If you've been with my channel for a little while, you do know that I use my camera to record my videos, or my phone, sorry. I use my phone's camera to record my videos. So you do kind of end up seeing it in that chrome base plate, but hopefully that's not too irritating. So I'm going to cut out those dies, and here you're going to see that I just had to poke out all of those extra pieces to get rid of them. And this is when I'll talk to you a little bit about this hop. So this hop is a celebration of me and 3 other ladies. We all hit 4,000 subscribers around the exact same time, which is super exciting because it's a lot of hard work and a lot of really fun making of videos to kind of get there. And so we thought we would celebrate it together. So we have this really fun hop going on. And there are a couple of things. There are some giveaways that are going on in the hop, so you'll have to watch the videos to see who's giving something away. I do know there are a few for sure. Just make sure you listen to the details on their video to see how you can enter. I am giving something away. My prize pack will be, I'll show you a picture of it at the end of the video, so you can check out what I'm giving away. You do have to enter by August 5th, 2023, and the winners will be picked on August 10th. You have to come back to the channel that it was being given away on, and that's where it will be announced. You do have to fill out the form that's linked down below. You only have to fill it out once though, and that will enter you into every giveaway that's being done throughout this hop. So just one time, go and enter that form, and then we will be picking our winners from that. And any information you give on there is strictly for this hop. There's no information being shared of any kind. So I think that's pretty much. Oh, and all of the links to the videos are down below, as well as a hashtag that you can click. Both will be listed in the description below, and as well as these details in case I've gone a little too quickly for you. I do tend to talk a bit quickly when I get excited. So I'll talk about the card again. So I am going to ink blend these panels. You saw that I just finished one with a couple of colors. The only kind of stipulation that we chose for this hop was that you had to kind of use specific colors. And the colors were, I believe, teal, coral, I believe lime green was also chosen, and I chose purple because those were the 4 favorite colors of the people who are a part of the hop. And you could use any mixture of those colors. So it was completely up to you. I opted not to bring in the lime green because I kind of liked the picked pistachio instead, a cracked pistachio, sorry. And I used that color instead of that, but it was any of that kind of mixture of colors you could use. And that was just kind of the only thing we really stipulated for this hop. So I chose to use cracked pistachio, peacock feathers, abandoned coral, and seedless preserves. And you saw that I just blended them across that plaid dye that I cut out, and I did 2 colors per layer just because I thought that it looked really pretty. And then we're going to create a shaker card as well. This is, if you've been with my channel for a while, you know that I am a big fan of flat shaker cards. I think they're a lot of fun to create. They're a great interactive element without being expensive, because I mean, here you can see that I'm just cutting up a piece of plastic that I came on a stamp that I think I bought from, I think it was a Holtz set, and that I'm just cutting it up to be slightly larger than that black mat that was cut from that die. And I'm going to show you how I like to make my flat shaker cards. There's no right or wrong way to do this. There are pockets you can purchase if you prefer to do that instead of making your own. And they're pieces of plastic that have adhesive already on them. But this I find is just a really quick and easy way to make your own shaker pocket. So I did cut down my plastic, and I like to do each side individually. I find that I have less chance of the glitter falling out of a corner. You can do all 4 sides with the adhesive at the same time and then just make sure they're not over top of each other. But I have found after making a fair amount of flat shaker cards that this is the easiest way for me to make sure that none of the glitter kind of tries to fall out. So all I'm doing is using a really thin 3D foam tape, using a really thin double-sided adhesive. And I am just making sure that every edge that I do, every side, is overlapping the other so that the plastic can't have any room to let any glitter fall out. And then, of course, the last one we don't actually adhere until we've added in the little bits. And I do use my reverse tweezers just because I find it easier to remove the release paper. And then inside of my shaker card, I did use some rock candy glitter and some mica flakes. I prefer these for my shaker cards because they're the least staticky glitter I've ever found. These are both Tim Holtz, and they don't stick to the plastic, which I do find some glitters are very, very staticky, and they just kind of stick to the plastic and then they don't really move around or shake at all. So this is kind of something that I like to do with them. And then here you can see that it just shakes around beautifully and there's no issues there. Another kind of tip I have here is that you very carefully cut off the extra plastic that's overlapping. That just makes it easier to adhere down to the card base later. You don't have to do that part, but honestly, it does make it simpler. Just be careful when you do it. I have cut too far and had glitter fall out before. So just be a little aware when you do it not to cut too far into the plastic. You're only taking off the extra. And then I did bring in my art glitter glue with the fine tip just to easily adhere these two layers together. You could have backed them with double-sided adhesive before you cut them, but I was worried that that would feel like a lot of waste just because so many pieces got cut out. So this is a little bit tedious, but I think it works out pretty well in the end. And I do try not to add too much adhesive, only because if it sits on top of the Oxide, it will actually kind of change the Oxide color just because it does react to water. Not a big deal. You won't really notice. We're going to add some really pretty butterflies on top, but just be aware that that is a potential issue. And then I'm going to adhere this on to that shaker panel we've made with the same glitter glue. Well, sorry guys. I get nervous when there's a potential of like a whole bunch of different people seeing my videos. I'm so good when it's people that, you know, have been with my channel for a long time and they come back and it feels like we're friends and we're just crafting together. And then when I think that there's a potential for new people, I start to get a bit nervous. And then I kind of like stumble over my words. It's kind of funny. Like I've been making a lot of videos and it still gets the best of me every once in a while. So on top of this card, I really didn't want to cover up too much of that plaid, but I had to add something because it doesn't really feel like a finished card right now. So I did bring in the Tim Holtz detailed butterfly mini dies, and I'm going to cut the base layer out of some vellum. This is a very heavyweight vellum. And then I'm going to cut the detailed layers out of some, I think it's pearlescent vellum. I think Lawn Fawn makes it. And it's just stunning. You're going to see the two vellums together are very subtle and yet super, super pretty. And that two different vellums together really give a really, really pretty look to them. You'll see it here in a second. It's hard to explain until I've actually shown you what it looks like, but I think that the two vellum layers together look really, really pretty. And again, I did use my chrome base plate for this just because they are so detailed, these butterflies, just so that was kind of the preference. You could probably use your magic mat if you wanted to try that. I generally don't, just because I'm worried that it won't cut well. And honestly, it didn't cut that one butterfly really well. So I did end up cutting that again when I do the second layer for the butterfly, because I did do 3 butterflies because I do prefer an uneven number. I think that they look better. So I do tend towards the 3, but you could do anything. I actually considered doing a flower originally, but in the end I chose to do butterflies instead, just because I think they're super pretty. So I did use my craft pick just to kind of gently lift this vellum. The Lawn Fawn pearlescent vellum is a thin vellum, so it does have a tendency, I find personally, to get stuck in the dies. So I do have to kind of be a little more careful when I remove it, because they will rip because it's such a fine paper or vellum. So let's kind of just be very careful when you do it. So I do find if I use my craft pick and just run it along the underside of the die, it does help release it. There are release papers and stuff like that as well. I personally don't own them, so this is kind of what I choose to do. And then to adhere the 2 layers together, I'm only going to adhere them in the center of the butterfly. That's just because I really want the wings to have movement. So I'm adhering them, and I did use my my reverse tweezers here just to hold the butterflies together so that the vellum has time to adhere. So that's just another way to do it. You don't have to do this. This is just something I like to do. And I'm just kind of clipping them with my reverse tweezers to make sure that there's chance for the two vellums to adhere together. I do sometimes find that vellum takes a little bit longer to adhere just because it's kind of got a finish on it. So this just makes it easier for me. And then I am going to adhere them directly to the panel after we adhere it to the A2 base. So I did notice that the A2 base is actually, the panels are a little bit smaller than the A2 base. You're going to see here when I lay it down, like I use the Tim Holtz dies and they're not quite, like you're going to see that there's more room at the top and the bottom than there are on the sides. So it's not perfectly sized for an A2 card. So I wonder if maybe I should have cut my card down a little bit so that it wasn't quite the A2 size, but I left it. I don't think that it's a big deal. I am noticing it because I do tend to want my layers to be even, and the top and the bottom have more white space than the sides do. So just something to be aware about if that's something that bothers you. I could have trimmed my A2 card down a little bit and just made it not quite the A2 size, and it still would have fit in an A2 envelope beautifully. I didn't, because I didn't really realize it until I went to adhere it, but something to be aware of. And then I'm also going to adhere just the centers of the butterflies again so that those wings have some beautiful movement. I like that look. You could, of course, adhere them flat down. Be aware that, of course, vellum shows glue, so that is something to be aware of if that's going to concern you. But I love how this card turned out. I think it turned out super pretty. I brought in some sentiment label stickers as well, just to have that little congrats word there. And then I left it here. I think that it's quite pretty, but I'd love to know what you guys think. I'd love it if you'd consider leaving me a like, leaving me a comment, and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video that you just watched. I have a lot of great videos on my channel, and I think that it'd be fun to have you as a part of my subscription group. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.